Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and joining me, as always,
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram. And please like and subscribe to the Bog Panda YouTube channel.
you beat me to
I
it,
had to,
son of a bitch.
had to get in there. You're
I've been
about,
getting pretty good at it.
you are, you're quick. I'm waiting for it. Don't always get the social media handles out, but you get that like and subscribe.
Yeah, I'm right on the like and subscribe. I was lucky enough to be a guest on a recent Nurture and Support, and I think I got the like and subscribe in.
You did.
I was
It's
happy about
very
that. That's all
impressive.
it was. Like, nobody said it. Yes, this is my time.
Yes, indeed, you did. Yeah, it was mostly a nurture and support, but it was a hard one because there's our good friend Gerald. There's some things we're doing with Gerald and trying to promote a podcast he's involved with, and so it was a bit of a hybrid. So it officially is listed as nurture and support parenthetical cobbler. So it's a little bit of both. An
Nice,
inside joke
nice.
that no one will know or care about.
I'm always excited when I get to be on that show. So.
Yeah, especially when Mel turns on me, and she turned on me in a big way this most recent show. So we'll have to.
She did, yeah.
I got a
She was
little,
not. I don't think she was on your side to turn on you.
not even close. Now most of it
Yeah.
I think after the recording, but just so you know, she's officially. I need to go back and revisit my enemy of the states that I have out on Twitter and see where she's at because she's got to move up. So
She just moved up a couple spots.
easily, very easily.
Well, tonight though, we're here to talk retro gaming, retro arcades. There's some interesting accessories that are coming out now that you can outfit your home arcade setup with, and Kelly and I wanted to kind of go over some of that. So one of the things I had mentioned to Kelly a couple episodes ago was the photo booth that Arcade1Up has coming out, and then today Kelly sent me a video which details a lot more than was available at the time. It's even larger than I would have anticipated. They confirmed that the monitor on it is 10 inches. So basically, it looks like a 10-inch tablet in a casing that houses the printer and everything else. So it's going to be a decent size. I have a 10-inch tablet. I really should have brought it. I have a giant head, and I could have held it next to my head. I could have held it next to my head, and it's still larger than my head, just to give you kind of an idea where we're at with bigger than my head.
If I was just glad it's you saying these things and not me, because I'm going to show restraint in additional commentary. Restraint you wouldn't show, but yeah, uh, your head is largish, so I think so. You could put a 10-inch tablet by it; it would be a good visual for us. But it is a good size,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
10 inches is a good size. It comes with a Polaroid printer built into it. It prints, I believe, their more recent film that they have coming out, which is more of like it doesn't look like the traditional Polaroid with the borders. There are these, you can have them either, if it's the ones that I'm thinking of from what they were describing, they can either be photos or these sticker style photos that you can print out. And also talked about the augmented reality stuff, which is available in one of the Polaroid printers that I have. I have a Polaroid digital printer that allows you to add augmented reality features and different things like that to your digital prints. So it sounds like they're actually combining elements of a few of the different Polaroid printers into one box. Fairly large in size. They do show you a mock-up next to like an end table, which is a little bit hard to go off of. But if you think 10-inch tablet in the center of this, and it's got a decent sized border around it, and particularly at the bottom where obviously all the printer mechanics are going in there, this is a pretty big size thing you're hanging on your wall and building your photo booth out of. Now, what are your thoughts on having something like this in your house?
So I think if I was going for that whole retro arcade vibe, finding a way to incorporate something like this would really be kind of additional icing on the cake and a really cool additional feature, likely more cost effective than a claw machine. So I kind of put it in the claw machine category to say, here's
Right.
ancillary non video game pinball activities. And I think that the photo booth is a good one to go in there. And the more you start to talk about it, I think the actual form factor of the screen itself is likely as big, if not larger, than what you would actually see if you would go. Not. I'm sure all of us are going to the mall these days. One,
Right.
just out of the malls are so happening, and two, going out is so happening. But just
Where all the cool kids are hanging out these
roll
days.
with me on this. Assuming you could go outside, assuming if you could go outside, a mall was a place you would go, you'd likely find one of these things there. And as you would go in and sit down and look at the display, I would say probably the whole display deal and everything within an existing photo cabinet is actually smaller than what this
Yeah.
is. And so that gets interesting. But I just, the real spirit of it to me is a little bit lost if you're like, I'm going to stick it on the wall and you can walk over here and take a picture. I think you've got to try and simulate a little bit more of the booth like experience for a photo booth. And I do think it would be a nice addition to do, but I also think you'd want to kind of try and recreate as much of the experience as you could.
So I was intrigued by this from the very beginning because one of the things I've been thinking about, okay, once I get a few more cabinets in there and I have kind of the core of the arcade together, and I'm sure I'll always be, adding and building off of things forever for something like this. But once kind of the core layout is in there and I kind of know what it's going to look like and I start kind of decorating around that, I really want that feel of you're walking into an arcade that we played in when we were growing up kind of thing, kids smoking, dim lights, weird 80s stuff. So the idea of these sort of ancillary items has been something I've been thinking about. Like, well, what else needs to be in there to really give you that immersive environment? Arcade1Up has talked about a claw machine before. That was something, honestly, I never would have thought of until I saw the guy from Arcade1Up talking about it. Like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know how functional that would be. Like, I mean, obviously it would be a functional claw. What are you going to put in there?
Oh, I think you could. I'm sure you could figure out something to put in there.
I'm sure that I
your
can.
your claw
And
machine could be the most popular claw machine ever.
I can think of some interesting things to throw in and all that, but I don't know how much down that particular rabbit hole I want to go as far as like purchasing or creating items that then go into the claw machine.
Yeah.
As fun as it would look and kind of be a fun thing. The photo booth, on the other hand, is more interesting to me. And yes, like one of the big things from the time that this was announced that I've seen people sort of detractors of this is everybody has a cell phone, everybody can take their own picture playing in the arcade kind of thing. Absolutely. But again, you're going for more of that ambiance and the immersive feel of being in an arcade. Photo booths are a part of that, especially in the older arcades. I also I am a fan, if you couldn't tell from me talking about it earlier, I'm a fan of the Polaroid printers that they've been making, and they have some really nice high-end products out there. High-end being sort of the operative term there. The Polaroid stuff is not cheap. Their printers and their equipment and things like that, particularly their newer digital printers, in comparison to comparable products from other companies, are way more expensive. I'm not saying they're insane, like not consumer level pricing, but way more than the more mass produced products that you can find out there. And their film is very expensive, like outside of the normal consumer level for film. So Polaroid is something that is more of a niche market kind of thing for people who have higher disposable income or are paying for a very specific thing. When you're buying when you're buying the Polaroid products, even their digital printers and things like that, it's a very specific look to their film, and you're paying a premium for that if that's what you're going for. So I do like that this actually combines two of their more popular printers. It sounds like the features of two of their more popular printers. Also, I was picturing something smaller, to be honest, from the initial photos and everything. Until we had the explanation of the dimensions today. 10-inch monitor is bigger than what is in an arcade or in a mall, as Kelly was saying. So this is going to be a pretty substantial piece of your wall that you're donating to this. And then you could always put up some sort of a curtain or a backdrop or something like that around that. That part I'm not too worried about. I do really like the Polaroid equipment though, and something like this does sort of fit into, there's some functionality of it because again, I and a number of my friends like the aesthetic of the Polaroid products. So that's cool. Having sort of a doubled up Polaroid printer at my disposal, another one is interesting to me, just for not even arcade purposes, just having an extra Polaroid digital printer around. I also like too, they did mention you can send the photos to yourself digitally and things like that as well. Not really something that's a Polaroid thing. So that's, something else with it too. So yeah, I could take pictures of myself and my friends on our cell phones, of course, but I'm a fan of Polaroid products. This is pretty interesting. The downside of this to me is of course the price point. It's $350. That's a little bit steep for decoration.
Yep.
for the arcade. Basically the cost of an Arcade1Up unit
Right.
for a decoration. That being said, it's weird because I'm kind of torn with that. As someone who owns a Polaroid printer, they're really expensive. So there's, as I mentioned, their stuff is not cheap. So their printers are on the higher price range side compared to comparable other brands. They're the pictures, the actual film, very expensive. And tablets aren't, I mean, you can get a cheaper tablet, but that's a decent sized tablet essentially that's built into this. So $350 is essentially what that would cost. If you were to buy a 10-inch tablet and a Polaroid printer, you're setting yourself back $350.
Yeah,
So
probably.
yeah, that's what it costs. So there's a part of me that's like, that's way too much money to spend on a wall decoration. And then there's another part of me like, that's what that would cost. Like, I can't reasonably see them selling you a 10-inch tablet and a Polaroid printer that on its own costs well over $100 as a bundle for less than $350.
Yep. And it's a fair question when you actually start to think about what you actually get. The price point may make a little more sense, but it's a lot more of a either decoration / single use deal, because where you buy an Arcade1Up machine, that $350 gets amortized over lots and lots and lots of plays. It
Right.
gets used a lot. I mean, you might have a friend or two who takes lots and lots and lots of pictures, but basically a lot of this is, oh, that was cool, I did it, and they're done. So your kind of volume will be good. But no, work with me on this,
Something that
because
would get used a few times a year, kind of thing.
I think I have a better suggestion for you, and a more cost-effective suggestion. So what you need to do is kind of build a little booth area in the arcade. I'm sure you have extra webcams around, a few of those. I'm sure you have a laptop or two spare there. You can do that. Basic photo editing software. Your investment will be to go buy some Western clothes. But what you need to do is to set up a little booth for the old-timey pictures, where they got to go in and everybody dress up and you sepia tone it. And then maybe, I don't know if there'd be a way you could like hire a Lindsay Lohan to show up in like an apron with quarters in her pockets to work your main arcade and smoke, and then also work the Western booth. and she could bring people in, take the pictures, try and upsell them on number of prints and all those types of things. It could be a moneymaker for you.
Interesting. That's something I'm going to have to think about.
Just a thought.
So is this a potential Kelly Tool man cave purchase?
No, I think if I go anyway, I better go the Western thing. I think I'm going to do that.
Old-timey photos of Kelly.
Old-timey photos. Got to have that set up. Some gangster stuff too, if you want to go up, over the years. So
Tommy guns.
Yes, that kind of deal. So we'll look into that, plus additional revenue streams. So that's where I'll look for that. But I'm probably not. Now, a claw option appears at some point in time. Then I'll give it some consideration, because that could be cool. Plus, half the fun of that is stocking it. What are you going to put in there to have potentially pulled out? And particularly and it hasn't. I don't think I've seen it in the Arcade1Up stuff, and I know I haven't seen it in any of the AtGames content yet at all. The ability to actually convert one of these machines into put a coin slot on it, actually put a thing to say, hey, you can't interact with this without dropping a quarter. So they're not revenue generators for you at this point in time. But I would assume, I would hope, if you build a claw machine, which I still am a big fan of the virtual claw machine with 4 monitors on each of the sides. I think that would be amazing. um, that one you almost have to. You've got to be able. You got to stock that thing. You got to get some quarters
Right.
flown in to get that full of all the little goodies you give the kiddies.
I could see Christmas mornings when the claw machine's available. Like, hey, all of your gifts are in the claw
That's right.
machine. You got to earn some money so that
That's
you
right.
can pump some quarters into that to get your
That's
gifts.
right. Yeah, one you get a labor market, awesome. So you get that. And then you go, what did Santa get me? Well, a little bit more. Santa's going to figure out what you can get yourself. So you take a look in there and see what you can
Can't
do.
get anything in life without working for it.
That's right.
That's the lesson that Santa got you for
Right. And
Christmas.
you're able to sit back and have a little breakfast while they repeatedly try to get presents. So it'd be all right. Keep them busy. Yeah. So the other accessory that we and Mike actually shared some information with me on this was the emergence of the pedestal for the AtGames Legends Gamer Pro, and I assume for the gamer as well. But basically, we've talked about it in a couple of previous episodes. AtGames releasing a lot of different options of things. One of them is a Gamer Pro, which is basically the control deck of the AtGames Legends Ultimate with pinball for the Gamer Pro in particular. Pinball buttons on the side, but you basically get the control deck, all the goodness that comes with AtGames in terms of the network and upgrades and all that. HDMI port to fire it off to a larger screen. And we talked a little bit about the Capcom offering there, the Snuggle gaming system where you have to get really close together. But the idea of be able to sit down on a couch, you put the controller on your lap, and you're able to actually play, but have more arcade style controls. But the actual visual is not in an arcade cabinet, but it's actually on your big screen TV. And so they've come out with a really nice looking pedestal to put that up. And they showed a setup where you've got that nice big screen, the pedestal's back a little bit from the screen, and a way to kind of actually raise it. It actually sits at a level slightly higher than where the control panel sits on the AtGames Legend Ultimate, which for people over 6 feet, there have been a few folks that are like, I wish this thing was a little higher. I mean, it's never been like a big need of a riser like some of the Arcade1Up stuff tends to kind of be the best form factor to add that riser for sure. AtGames Legends Ultimate works great without it. But if you're north of 6 foot, the screen angle and the controller may not be bad to bump that bad boy up a little bit. So this pedestal does that. So it actually sits a little higher. Looks pretty interesting. For me, though, probably not a starter, although I'm getting increasingly interested in the Gamer Pro because of the pinball integration with it. And maybe if I don't get virtual pinball, I can get the next best thing, which is a Gamer Pro with a nice big screen, flipped portrait mode, and do some things there. So that's under some consideration. But it not under consideration for me because my main in the kind of the man cave section of the household there, my primary viewing screen's a projector, and which would be amazing for playing some games on with the extended is for we showed the setup before for my PlayStations and Nintendo 64. But it looks to me like this pedestal, if I got it and set it up, there's a chance somebody's head's right kind of in the middle of the projection, which wouldn't be so cool.
Yeah, and it's funny. We were talking before the show a little bit, and you brought that up because the first thing that I had in mind thinking about a pedestal for that is like, well, maybe I could get this and get the pedestal, and then I can just stick it over in the corner and pull it out with the projector when there's I want some arcade action upstairs kind of thing. And but then, like you said, standing there the projector, that's not an optimal way to do that, and that's absolutely right. I hadn't thought about that.
Although with your so my projector is mounted to the ceiling, and she's just dedicated, and it kind of goes there. Well, I have a dedicated projector. Mike has a shiftless projector. No real direction in life, but it's very portable. So actually, now that I think about it a little bit more with your situation, you could probably build a pretty cool little shelf on the front of that pedestal that you could set that portable projector that you have on the front there, and you're not going to have, you get the right angle on that thing to shoot up on the wall. You might actually have something going there. That could actually be a pretty cool.
You're using words like build though. That's a man thing. You're a man. You can do stuff like that. I can't do that kind of stuff.
This is we're talking a shelf here. I think you can pretty
You're a
sure
man.
you can
You
pull
can
up
do
a
that
shelf.
sort of thing.
We'll talk more later. But I think I hadn't thought about that because you got a sweet portable projector that would lend itself maybe well to it. But it just, I mean, it really depends on what your configuration is. If you've got a regular screen and big to it, but even then, you got to get power to the unit. And
Right.
so it can't really be, it has to be ultimately something you take out, say, hey, let's play some of this now. You'd have to bring it out and set it up because you're
Right.
not going to want a cord running across the carpet all the time.
Yeah, and that's another issue with it too. It's not as portable as it was in my mind thinking about, dealing with the wires and things like that. So I'm right back to the puck again, which either way I'd be getting that anyway, because as we had discussed, at $50, we were misspoken the first time. At $50 is a price point that it wouldn't make sense not to jump in at.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we'll start there, and then you can maybe research shelf building, and we kind of see where things go from there.
Still above my pay grade, sir.
Yeah. So it remains a super awesome time to be into retro arcade stuff because, boy, the options and the different things coming out are cool, and it's nice to see some healthy competition occurring.
Yeah.
And I don't even care if it's unhealthy competition. Competition occurring between.
The competition is good for us, and that's all that matters.
That's right. Whatever happens to them, whatever. So we're getting more and more options, so that's super cool. Just we wanted to talk about a couple of things we're seeing out there recently. Hope you're interested. Would love to hear if you, in your comments, if there's something else that you've seen kind of start to emerge lately that you're excited about. Would love to hear about that too. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up.
I think that's everything. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening.